Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the Al-Qadr League podcast. Alongside myself and the beautiful voice and face of Saif Ali Khan, we've got two guests, neither of whom need introductions. On my right, we have the president of our Jamaat, Al-Qadr Kamani. And next to him, we have avid Spurs fan, football enthusiast, Faisal Pardon. Thank you very much for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
No worries. After a thrilling night of indoor football on Saturday, we have a new leader at the top of the adults Al-Qadr League leaderboard, Hasnain Kaki. After each sport for the adults, we've had a new leader. First we started off with a Baskara, then we had Hasnain Delji, and now we have Hasnain Kaki. Saif, how captivating is this leaderboard and this tournament proving to be?
So it's interesting because we discussed this a lot in the last podcast, considering we had two people who were quite high up the leaderboards. We had Samir and Hasnain, and I generally thought they're going to hold that position. But just in an instant, in one tournament, swiped out and Hasnain Kaki right at the top, doing what he does best. I don't know if he was the magic on the team or not. The commentator definitely thought so.
No, the commentating was brilliant. We'll get onto that. Aliaska, I'm going to start with you just because we're conscious that we're going to lose you soon. You're not a face that we're quite familiar with seeing around a football pitch, so it was brilliant to see you take part on Saturday. Before we get into the specifics and the actual games and the group stages and so on and so forth, what was your overall and general experience of the tournament on Saturday?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Firstly, I want to thank you guys for preparing the tournament. I don't think I've actually come to a tournament. It's the first time I've ever come to a Hadri tournament, which is hard to believe, right?
Wow.
Hard to believe being Hadri president. I've actually gone to a sports tournament. But no, the vibe was really good, really clean, really nice, really jovial, and really lighthearted. I'm glad that we didn't, really. I'm thankful that you didn't clash Moss too much, so we could actually do both. But it was a very pleasant night. It was a very nice night, and it was a very, I think, productive night. I know, as a religious guy, we normally say Ramadan is for ibadah, but I think we got the balance. We could do the ibadah, and actually we could do sports, and it was a good challenge for myself to do some sports and test my fitness. So I really enjoyed the night overall. Really, really enjoyed it.
And not only that, but you, of course, won. You were part of the winning team. So Qatar won the indoor football tournament. You were a main part of that. From my memory, Saif, every time Ali Asghar got remotely close to the goal, the anticipation and the excitement within the crowd just went up a notch.
Do you know, I genuinely think there was I think the first game where you came on, he whipped it and it was going to the top right corner. Had it not taken a deflection, I genuinely thought the whole crowd was storming onto that pitch. But Maulana, I have to ask you what it was, because you had a phenomenal performance every single game. We're seeing heel flicks, spins, great passes as well, and you linked up. Everyone was talking about the Hamza Neymar matchup. It was actually a trio with you on the pitch as well.
Yeah. As in, to be fair, look, I haven't played for the good part of 8 years. It's been ages. Not sure about du'as or anything. It was more luck and having a good team around me. The first game I was not a good game. I was falling over. Some people were telling me I pushed into someone. I can't lie, I was just balancing myself. I fell over. But after when I kind of got my balance and I got my touch back, just a few flicks here and there. Just have a bit of fun on the pitch, innit? It was meant to be fun, right? Just had a bit of fun. It wasn't too tactically hard. I was just trying to play. I didn't try to step over. I kind of regret that, but it was fun. It was good.
There was one heel flick that sticks in my mind, and I love that. But what player would you liken yourself to after your performance there?
If I'm honest, I've always kind of been the anchorman sort of guy, like a Michael Carrick, maybe with a few more skills. Break up the play.
Definitely more than Michael Carrick. I don't think I've seen him do a heel flick in his whole career. So.
Kobe Manu once, maybe. But I like a few flicks. But I like to be like that anchorman, kind of defend, cut up play, steal the ball and then set up the assist.
Number 8.
Yeah. That's
Hadri's number 1, but football's number 8.
I like that, Saif. I like that. Faisal, every time Danish puts the teams out on Tuesday, in light of the forthcoming Tuesday night over 34 sessions, you've got a habit of having a look at the teams and putting in an early prediction as to who you think is going to win.
Who's going to win in the dark horse, right?
I'm going to apply the same for the Al-Qadr League tournament. So when the teams came out last week, when you went through them, who did you have as sort of your dark horses or your favourites to win?
Okay, so before we start that, Friday night football. I think you should be playing for us.
He's trying to recruit another man.
Performance, really, honestly. It's something that no one played for 8 years to have a performance. And those nutmegs
Yeah.
There was a nutmeg in there as well.
Very good.
Fantastic. So no, that's anyway. Going back to the point, yeah. So yes, the standards you're saying and how to predict. So I actually saw, initially we see players at the top of their game like Adil and Danish, and so I saw the teams come out, and I thought Iran had a really good chance. And then obviously you look through the other team sheets, but then you get surprises like
Yeah.
Rana. You didn't expect the standards of what he was going to produce, and then the team around him, and then these guys grew in confidence. Every game they were playing, strategically, they were like growing in confidence. But going by, your initial, I thought, Sajid Hansraj when he plays Friday nights, he's very, very good. Adil, exceptions, he's a top player. Danish quality, and the other
Hassan in
players
goal
around-
as well.
Exactly, Hassan Arshid is probably one of our best keepers that
Yeah.
we've got in our community. So they were my favourites by far. But I had a soft spot for Palestine. Yeah, and also, like you said, back to Kaki.
Yeah.
And his secret was, he said it was actually quite easy playing in the tournament
Oh,
because
wow.
the goals were smaller and his height was there. I'm not saying that because it's Kaki, but yeah, it's exceptional how the leaderboard has changed and how it's all like transferring.
So I'm just worried that we may lose Sheikh soon. But I want to ask you, obviously, seeing someone who's not just the president of the mosque, but you give lectures and stuff like that, I feel like maybe coming into the tournament, there might have been a bit of pressure to even join the tournament. And there were the likes of people that we don't regularly see that was very nice to see. The only one that comes to mind right now is probably Riaz John Mohammed. Even Hasnain, I know Hasnain Deji plays regularly, but to see him in a tournament with the wider community and stuff like that was very nice. Do you feel that your like playing in the tournament had a communal effect on the youngers watching, and it showed them that some of these barriers that we put in the community are more in our minds than actually there?
I should hope so, to be honest. I should really hope so. As in, a lot of us Malanas try to play sports. I'm not even a Malana, but anyway, we do. As in playing sports, being fit is part of religion, right? And I think this tournament actually reminded me that being fit is not just about doing like body weight and a little bit of weights here and there. Because I haven't done cardio for ages, and after the first game, I was like, "Ooh," I wasn't sure if I was gonna last the night. So it was a good challenge for me as well. So being fit is about playing sports, being active. But the big thing about sports, which I really loved when I came, and one thing I knew about it, but you appreciate it when you come to a tournament, is the communal effect, right? Bringing people together, seeing people you don't always see, and I hope that those people who maybe come more to sports than the mosque see that we're all one, and there's not that disconnect. Because I know that some people find it hard to connect to people who are maybe very mosque orientated or very spiritual orientated, but we're all one family at the end of the day, right? And so I do hope it has that effect that we all start to act as one family. Those who maybe don't come to mosque as much might come more, and we'll try our best to come to sports as well. So yeah, I do hope
And
so.
I've got one more question for you, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but would you be able to bless us with some knowledge when it comes to sports, considering like HSA running the AQL League throughout the holy month of Ramadan and hopefully influencing people to take part in sports that they haven't previously seen? You at football, for example, myself at badminton, and so many other people. Maybe something that can inspire people to look after their health.
As in, look, the body is, there's that, it's an English thing. It's like that the body is like your temple, right? Like it's that which you use to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? You have to look after it. And I know people have different ways of doing their fitness and looking after themselves. Doing it with the mosque is really nice because you look after your fitness, but at the same time you also connect to people and you connect to the right sorts of people. I think that's really important in this day and age, right? Connecting to the right sorts of people or being in the right sorts of environment, because sports is generally heated, right? Very competitive, and I know you tried to keep it. And it can be hard to keep the tempers on. And I can't lie, that was one thing I was worried about, right? I was hoping that I'm not going to hear too many the wrong words flying around. And alhamdulillah, actually, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. There was not. Alhamdulillah, it was really clean. And I was really,
think even
glad
Mohammed
to see
Askar
that.
drew blood and there was a hug straight after, so that was nice
So
to see.
I was really glad that it was clean. And so being around the right people in these sorts of environments is important. Playing sports is a great way to keep yourself fit because it gives you a drive as well. And there is a saying in religion, I think it's sometimes attached to Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, our prophet. The prophet Ibrahim, he says that your day should be divided into four. So spirituality, ibadah, serving Allah, work, obviously earning a halal livelihood, family, and the last part is leisure. And he actually says that the leisure part gives you more energy to do the other three. Sometimes if you're only fixated on that, which is like work, family, you become very robotic. But the leisure side actually relaxes you or calms you down. And so sports is a great way to keep that leisure side involved, keep your fitness up, and inshallah, keep you with the community. And again, I'll just stress again my thanks to the organizers that, in Shahr Ramadan, look, classically, and I'll be open here, Maulana's come out and say stuff like, Ramadan is not the month for sports. Ramadan is the month for ibadah, not in this month. And, technically speaking, by the book, they are right. But we know that so many people engage with sports, and it's something that really brings the community together. And I think this year we kind of find the balance. So not too much sports, where you feel like there's so much sports that some people are just doing more sports than actual ibadah. I think we got a good balance this year, and I'm glad that we were able to find that balance and, let people have both. I think that was really important. So I'm glad. I want to thank the organisers for helping us with that again. So.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Aliasko. Just before we let you go, final question. We waited 8 years to see you grace a Haydari football pitch. Do we have to wait another 8 years, or should we expect to see your name in the weekly sessions going forward?
Look,
I thought I put him on the spot.
Look, I'll be honest. I'll be very honest. With the weekly sections, it might be a hard commitment for me to make right now. I have a lot going on personally right now, just general family stuff that people go through, trying to buy a house and stuff like that. So I have a lot going on in that sort of thing. So it's hard for me to commit to a weekly thing. But I should hope when you guys do these one-off tournaments or when there's something fun coming up, I can try to at least be a bit more active. I'm a bit more confident in my ability, so I don't think I'm going to come and make a fool out of myself, which is nice. So it won't be 8 years. It definitely won't be 8 years again. But I won't promise it's going to be very soon again.
I can live with that, safe. I don't know about you. Aliasko, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. And we'll invite our next guest over soon. We're now joined by our second guest of the evening, Alishan Sheikh. Alishan, you were on my team on Saturday night. I didn't know you were a footballer. I thought cricket was your main sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unfair because you've just had Jurgen Klopp here and you replaced him with Fat Sam. So but yeah, no, football is my first love. I love cricket, but football has always been my first love. But yeah, I think there was an element of surprise because people haven't seen me play, and
an element. My guy came on and smashed that hat-trick.
I played with
top scorer. No, you got top scorer.
No.
Second top scorer, and then you got knocked out.
Yeah,
that's good.
But points per game. I mean, goals per game.
Yeah,
highest.
Yeah.
You really went through the stats book.
Yeah, no. I had to just clarify.
So just on that, what sparked your impressive goal-scoring form? Was it the crowd? Was it my captaincy? Or was it just that you prefer indoor and it suits your game more than outdoor, perhaps?
There's a few things. I think looking back, what you said to me was what Hader said to me was, just stay up front. I don't want to see you behind the halfway line, and I want a minimum of 5 goals. And I was like, okay. And I think I ticked every single box.
Every single one.
So yeah, that great captaincy because it made my job easier because I didn't have to chase. The team, I mean, Haas, I know he didn't get on the score sheet, but he was phenomenal. The way he was carrying the ball from midfield, bringing it up, and then laying it on a plate for me. So yeah, shout out to him as well. And yeah, the crowd, there was so much energy in the room. Apart from the commentator had his personal vendetta against me. I mean, I was playing and I could hear comments like, oh, he's got the touch of Bergkamp, but Bergkamp had hair and stuff like that.
Isn't that to wear sunglasses watching from the top? So.
Yeah, so yeah, apart from the commentator, I think the crowd gave me a lot of energy as well. So yeah, it was good.
So just on that, Faisal, how did you feel about the whole crowd, the environment, the commentating? Like you said, there were surplus of 200 people there.
Yeah. Nutshell, fantastic. Response from the crowd was amazing. The MCs that we had here were fantastic. Just the vibe of that Saturday night. The lead up 2 or 3 days before, thinking, Saturday's coming. Yeah. We're ready. Right? The vibe's coming up. It's Friday night now. Let's get it back to Saturday. The tournament from last year is leapt to another level. This year was very, very high. The organising was fantastic. Everything from the kick-off down to the end, I think everybody had a great time. Supporters, right? I think, like I said, 250 people turned up. If you think, we've had 70 participants. And I can only see this going one way.
No.
It's going to go on.
So
keep
I
it
agree.
Up. Keep the great work.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, you can't not give it back to me after talking about commentary. But no, genuinely, it was something new this year. I think obviously I wasn't actually there to actually soak it in because I was the one commentating. But the intention was to just keep that vibe going, keep building it up and stuff like that. But Alishan, did it add pressure? Like you were, like a lot of people, I asked them after the game, could you hear what I was saying? And a lot of them were like, no, like I couldn't. And I was ashamed. Like, I was not ashamed. I was sad because my incredible puns were just going missing. But you seem to hear every word.
Catching them all, don't worry. I was catching all of the points.
Catching every stray.
But no, it did add a bit of pressure, and it did sort of make me up my game because I remember the game against Mohamed Eska's team. I can't remember which country they were, but Mohamed Eska was having a great game. He had me in his pocket, there's no doubt. But I could hear you in the back saying, "Oh, there's another battle between Alishan and Mohamed Eska, and Mohamed Eska's come out on top."
Yeah.
So that I was like, "No, I need to score, otherwise I'm not going to hear the end of it from safe." So there was one bit where I think it just ricocheted off his leg and put me through, and yeah, just bottom bins as I do.
Yeah, so I guess you can say he won 3 battles, but you went and won the war. So
I was on the gold.
yeah, honestly, and even Hader. I mean, you were on Alishan's team, of course.
Yeah.
And there were some intense games. Particularly, that's the one that I remember because it was like watching ice hockey. The speed of the game, back and forth, and everything like that. Did you feel a struggle with the fitness and actually trying to keep up with everything going on?
Yeah, that game is quite upsetting actually, because in hindsight, that was the last group game that we played, and we just needed a point to qualify. And it was 1-1 with about 30 seconds to go. And young Issa, I think it was, who put a left-footed shot right into the corner.
And what a
Sometimes you
finish.
can't account
What a
for it.
finish, man.
And yeah, no, it was well deserved. Oman played well in that game. Mohammed defended really well, and Mobs in midfield. So that meant on goal difference, we went out and we finished 5th. Quite similar to you, actually. You also came last. So the two co-hosts ended up.
Do you know what the
leaving
frustrating thing
tournament
was?
early.
Yeah. So my team, we had won 1 game, drawn a game, and I think lost 2.
Exactly the same.
And so, yeah, 4 points. And I was thinking, you know, we'll scrape through because only one team goes out. Tunisia had quite a bad run so far, apart from they had won 1 game, which I wasn't aware of. And then somehow went and pulled off a result in the last game.
Yeah.
Went 1-0 up. And my brother and uncle are on that team, alongside Mohammed Zakaria and a few other people that are, yeah. And suddenly they decided to just turn up. And I was like, really? The one game where I'm not supporting you.
Game for them, wasn't
Yeah, it was a must. It was. And obviously you were watching from the side.
yeah, you
I want to
saw
ask you actually. So you were there from the group stages,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And you saw obviously as the stages were going on.
yeah.
Could you feel the intensity building?
That's
And how did it affect the games?
Especially when Akil was reading out those the point structure, and he said that the Blues need to win this one, so it's a win or nothing. Whilst the other team could have gone comfortably with a win.
Yeah.
That game, I think that's what I'm sure they were all wearing blues, so we're all cheering the Blues on. So it was Chico's team, right?
Yeah.
They need that win, and once that goal went in, I mean, when it went through, it was like it hit the roof. And then Akil then came out and said that you guys didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Egypt, right? Was it Egypt?
Egypt, yeah.
So on that point, I was speaking to Mohamed Eska before one of the final group games, and he was like, "No, you guys are through." The way Mohamed Eska is, he calculated everything, and he was like, "No, you guys are through. Don't worry." So I'm sitting there, not worried, and then I hear Akil say, "Egypt are out," and I was like, "What?" And then I had to find Hader. I was like, "How did this happen?"
The brown envelope when they're quick enough.
I think there were definitely some highlights in the group stages before we go into the quarterfinals. For me, there were 2 or 3 games in the groups that just lit up the tournament. So the first one was the first game that Qatar played. On paper, they looked fairly strong. Qatar beat Oman 3-1 in their first game. That's when I think Hamza Khan and Ali Abbas Raza came to the party, and that's when we thought, okay, they've got something here, these guys. And then their second game was against us, and everyone was expecting them to win because we'd lost our first game to Syria, which was Sami's team. And lo and behold, Alishan came to the party
Luis
and
Suarez
scored a hat-trick.
Turn up.
And we went behind on 2 occasions, and we somehow found a way to not just equalise, but actually to win it with almost the last kick of the game. So I thought, in my personal opinion, I might be biased, but I thought that was probably the game of the evening. That was relentless throughout from start to end. There were other good games. So Iraq, Yusuf's team had a good win against Tunisia. That's when we probably thought Tunisia were out, but they somehow managed to find a way through. And that final game between Oman and Syria, we needed either Oman to win or for Syria to win. Neither happened. It ended as a draw. And 3 days later, and I've still not recovered from it. So
And the frustrating thing is that timer just moves so quickly when you're on the pitch. I think it's 8-minute games, right? And you're like, yeah, all right, cool. 8 minutes is quite a decent amount of time. And before you know it, the ref's calling out 1 minute left. Or Faisal's there saying 1 minute, 1 minute. And you're like, where did the time go? And you're like, what are we going to achieve in 1 minute? And especially like when you're trying to get that point or whatever it is, just very frustrating. But before you do move on to the group stages, before you move on to the quarters, while we had every team in there, I want to highlight some players because there were some players that really turned up. Obviously, we had Ali Oscar, the president of the community, who really turned up in that.
Presidente.
El Presidente. Literally, I think El Presidente was there. Said them all to be proud. But lived up to the name, to be honest. And other people, I didn't think Issa had it in him. Issa was saying he's young, I think fairly quiet normally, but his football did all the talking on that day. And again, that last-minute goal against you lot was obviously a horrible moment for you lot, but it was just such a show of character from the youth of our community. And it's so satisfying to see that from someone that I think a lot of us would have watched when they were younger at MAMT and stuff like that and go through the rankings. I'm not sure if there's any other players that you'd like to highlight. You can't highlight yourself, Alisha.
I've already mentioned it, but Mohamed Oscar really surprised me. He really surprised me. He was like Mascherano. He was just a dog. Wherever the ball was, he was there. So he really surprised me. Who else was there? Khaki was in goal. He was George.
Oh
George,
my God.
At his age, he was amazing. Like, I wish I could be walking at his age, let alone being in goal. I think everyone there put in a shift. Everyone. Yeah.
And sorry, Faisal, watching from the sidelines, was there anyone that you wanted to...
Well, do you know what? So we play a lot of the over 45s. So mentions like George. He's like 65 nearly. Oh, sorry, George 62 maybe.
No, he told me 66 next week.
What is his birthday's next week? Anyway, but 65-year-old playing football.
The way he was...
that's incredible.
He was coming out of his area a fair amount, though, wasn't he?
But that's where you say he needs glasses, but he doesn't. Who else was there? So we've had a few others over 50. Sajid Hunstraj, I think Mo Hashem's nearly touching 50.
Hasnain.
Yeah. These guys are producing good quality football. So the mixture of young and and then you've got the bits, the 35 and 40 year olds. I think it's a great way of actually putting everyone together. And how that you guys did it, I mean, it's impossible to get a team to get balanced. But the way you did it to your best of abilities, I think was really well done.
How impressed were you specifically with your over 45s? Because on a lot of occasions, they were mixing it up with players over half their age. So to keep up from a fitness and quality point of view, you must be really impressed with your group.
With the guys. Honestly, I looking at you, feel proud of what you've done, what we've achieved in the last 2 or 3 years in a short space of time. Our thing's not about the top end players. We try to recruit players that are not physically good enough for the over 34s, for example, because they're either too fat or too thin, or they haven't kicked a ball for ages, or they're just not good enough. They can't play with the over 30 because it's a different level. They'll come to us. We'll get them into the player, getting them ready for the over 34. So once they've come to our, they're maybe injured. For example, Danish had an ACL, so he couldn't be played. Sufter.
Sorry, I just have to interject.
God.
You've invited Alishan recently to your sessions, haven't you? So.
That's by default.
So
this is it. So there you go. So he's played with us for the last 6 weeks. No wonder he produced such 5 goals in like 5 minutes.
It's all down to Faisal, actually.
That makes sense now. Good stuff. So then let's roll on to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals were really tight. 2 of the games went down to penalties, so they were very, very even. I think throughout, even the semi-finals, we'll come to those in a second, were won by just the 1 goal, and the final was also won by just the 1 goal. The teams, I think, proved to be quite balanced, generally speaking, don't you think?
Yeah, no, it was... The quarterfinals were so intense. I remember, I think 2 of them went to penalties.
Yeah.
So it shows that the teams were just so fairly matched. The penalties were outstanding as well. There were some great saves. QB, although he had a howler in the final, he made a good save in the quarters, and Hassan as well. He had a good quarterfinal as well. I think it was his brother that scored the winner against Hassan. Yeah. He was a really good player as well. Sorry, going back to your previous question. The quarterfinals were so intense, and obviously we were out, as we keep mentioning. So watching it as a spectator, it was good fun.
Yeah.
Liar.
But yeah, no. So you're right. 2 of the quarterfinals went straight to penalty shootout, and I think the first of the quarterfinals went to penalty shootout, which intensified everything. Like obviously, I was watching from the upper deck, and because the games were turning over so quickly, obviously the limit of time and stuff like that. When we moved into that first quarterfinal, it just felt like a group stage. But the moment the penalty started, everyone was like, "Oh damn, this is serious!" Like 2 teams. Well, not how many teams had got knocked out by then in the groups? 2 teams knocked out.
So
in the groups,
one
right?
in each group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 teams not. Oh, yeah.
See, you really don't want to lose in the quarterfinals.
No, you don't.
You lose in the quarterfinals, that's it, you're going home. So, that one I can see from the sheet there were some low-scoring games.
Yeah.
And like you said, was it the first 2 penalties or first 3 went to penalties?
The
I remember.
2 out of the 4
Yeah.
2 out of the
quarterfinals
4,
went to penalties.
And the other 2 scores were pretty
Very tight.
borderline, right?
Yeah,
so
very tight.
losing the quarterfinals, I mean, you're 2 steps away from
And-
semi-finals.
Sorry, it was Tunisia versus Hamza and Ali Abbas's team, right?
So
In
that
the
was the
quarters.
semi-final.
Was that the semis?
That
Oh,
was the
I'll let you
semi-final.
get
No,
to that.
to be fair, let's get to that. So that
'Cause-
was a very balanced game, and then it was quite a
It was.
controversial
So-
penalty call. That
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, I was watching from the top, and I was more busy on trying to keep it, not even keep it excited, trying to keep up with the game, because my mouth can only go so fast, but their legs move faster. But obviously, Mohamed Zacharias tried to header the ball out, and a penalty was given. And with them going 1-0 down, the game switched very quickly, because now Tunisia had to come out and score if they wanted to stay in the game. And it got aggressive. And you got to remember, they're all friends. We're all, like, the thing is, as a community, alhamdulillah, I think we're like a big family. But boy, I don't think there's much family when it comes to football. But yeah, it got really aggressive. I think there was a clothesline. Like Mosaic just fully took out all of us. I don't know if there was an apology or anything. I think he just walked off and said, "Get out of my way."
I think he was asked to apologise, and he was like, "No," but that's Mozak.
Yeah.
And I'm sure after the game,
Yeah, I'm sure there was hugs and kisses after, but it just showed the seriousness
Yeah.
of it. And I just think that once you get to a certain stage, it don't matter what the tournament is. When the competitiveness kicks in, no one wants to go home. I know, obviously, you guys want to know as well how upsetting it is
Yeah.
when the tournament's so exciting, having the crowd around, the incredible commentary, and and everything, but then just not being able to play another game, and you love playing in that atmosphere.
you just don't want to stop, right? And the other semi-final was equally as entertaining. So
Yeah.
that was between Palestine and Syria. And I remember AB from minute 1 was trying to slow the clock down, trying to waste as much time as possible.
And his shoes coming off every
Yeah, exactly, I know. The amount of times I was screaming, "Tie your laces." And Palestine got a fairly early penalty because Askabrai was judged to have come out of his area. AB stepped up and took the penalty, as he usually does. He's got a very good goal-scoring record with penalties.
Yeah, very good.
And then almost at the last kick of the game, Syria were awarded a penalty for almost the exact same offence. And Sami Hussein, the captain of Syria, stepped up, and I think we were all expecting him to score. And I hate to say it, but QB pulled off a really, really brilliant save, and that's character. That
One of the
was
saves of the tournament.
it.
wasn't
It was a
Especially
really
from
good
that close
pen,
end, yeah.
and for
That
him
was
to
a
go
good pen as
down,
well.
it was a
It
brilliant
was going in
pen.
the corner.
Yeah, it was,
But,
and that took them through to the final. And then we had the final. We had Palestine versus Qatar, and this was a brilliant match, wasn't it, Safe?
Yeah, I think we got to see, and growing up, I don't think I've actually seen Hamza and Ali Abbas playing together.
Yeah.
There's always been, like, for example, Hamza was living in Dubai, so when he did come, he wasn't playing in that A team at Mamt, or Ali Abbas wasn't available, or for example, Unity, Ali Abbas wasn't able to come. So it's been something that I've been anticipating for a long time, and to see them together in this tournament, I thought, you know what, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Are they going to clash with each other,
Yeah.
trying to be the star man on the team, or are they going to complement each other? And like I said earlier, not only did they complement each other, but Ali Askar stepped into that, forming a bit of a trio, linking up the play between them. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, they just ripped it up.
Yeah, I remember one pass Elieska did in the final, and he just cut it through the
Yeah.
defense. I was like, this guy's been playing it for me for saying 8 years. No.
He claims he's reading books, yeah, but I'm sure he's doing.
Reading biography like Gerard.
Yeah, but it was such an intense final. And what time did it start? 2:30 in the morning or something like that. After a long day of fasting, and intense games. Like that pitch, the room was baking hot, and not just from everyone running around, but it was heated football. And to keep it going at that intensity is just.
And that was your highlight of the evening, wasn't it, Safe?
God,
Because
yes, it was.
you had your moment in that
This was
final.
it.
For 10 minutes, you were screaming at the top of your lungs.
The game was on YouTube, right?
It was,
So
yes.
Oh.
viewers, it's on YouTube, the final. Listen to this guy. I mean, he completely ranked it all up.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think, in
Absolutely
fact,
brilliant.
if you guys haven't, make sure you follow the HSA Instagram page because they're gonna stick it up there. Yeah.
It's already up.
Oh,
on
it's
there.
already up there.
Yeah.
So make sure you watch that. Great
Yeah.
commentary and a decent goal as well.
Alishan, one for you. Where the final is concerned, some would say QB made a little error in the lead up to the first goal that Ali Abba scored. Now, you and QB have had a long-standing rivalry when it comes to cricket.
Yeah.
He made some brilliant saves afterwards. Do you think the final defeat was down to his mistake, or do you think he actually bailed his team out with the saves that he made?
Bit of a loaded question. So, in my
Put both
opinion,
mics here.
in my opinion, I think it was a howler. He's claiming it wasn't, but for
It's
his
on camera.
for
The
his
thing
standard,
is, if he hadn't had a howler like that in a big
Yeah.
game before, then you could say, yeah, fine. But it's not the first time, is it?
for his standard, I would be disappointed if I was him. I think he could have done better, but it is what it is.
For such a loaded question, you gave such a simple
you know
answer.
what? It might come back and bite me.
Being
one
very
day.
diplomatic right
He
now.
did sit on the fence. That's the main thing.
It'll come back and bite me one day. I know QB.
I think one thing I want to mention is they had the wrong Qasim in goal. Had they had Qasim Lalji with his long arms, maybe it would have been a bit different. And what would it be an AQL podcast without mentioning?
Safe, we promised him that we'd stop mentioning it.
I think you did. I didn't.
Fair enough, let's go. No, the final was fantastic, and well done to Qatar for coming out 2-1 winners. I think they were probably the strongest team, albeit the only game they lost was to us.
What does that make us?
Exactly, the real champions, right? No, it was. I think it was from an organisational point of view. Even though we did run over slightly, I think everything within the tournament was fantastic from our side. The number of people that turned up, the level of football that was played. Thankfully, there were no real serious injuries. Mohammed Oscar might tell me otherwise.
I can't forget Mohammed the Boss, who got injured. Oh, my goalkeeper.
Yes, yeah, he's on crutches at the
yeah.
moment, isn't he? Yeah, I take back
That
what
was
I
an
just said.
unfortunate one.
Yeah, he is.
I think he was actually in the crowd when that one.
No, I'm really grateful for everyone that turned up. You made the evening as good as it was. And next year, if we are to do this again, Faisal, as you said, we'd expect an even bigger crowd and even more players turning up, right?
I definitely think if going by this year's tournament and going by last year's tournament, you always try and excel the previous year. You'd always learn from little mistakes. There's always going to be little obstacles on the way. It's how we learn. We adapt and then we move on. But like I said, there's only one place this is going to go. And next year, I can like obviously see bigger and better things, but more participation from more players. Hopefully, we had 77, which is a massive. I don't know what was last year's 50 something.
Yeah, we had 9 teams of 6, so 54.
So 54,
Yeah.
70 odd now.
70 this year.
You could push another 15, 20, and then really go for it.
And I think it works hand in hand because if you think about it, the nights are getting longer. So next year we have longer nights. We can squeeze in more teams, more games. So everything's kind of working in its advantage. And I'm sure.
So that's it.
Yeah, he's giving us his blessing.
No, definitely. I think we should probably wrap up the football there. There is the small matter of the youth table tennis that will take place this coming Thursday night. The adults won't have a tournament for another 10 or 11 days, so all focus is on the youth for this coming Thursday. Last year's kids table tennis tournament was brilliant. Amar Rafiq and Ali Mehdi Gara in the final. That was end-to-end, Ali Mehdi eventually winning. So I'm really interested to see which of the 30 players that have signed up this year will go on and win on Thursday.
Did you say 30?
30.
Do you know, I remember last year, I think it was going on and I was in the main hall and the noise coming from this room was ridiculous because I was like, surely that cannot be. I thought it was like someone's phone really loud or something like that. And I run into here and a proper crowd and an intense, no, it wasn't even the finals, by the way. I think it might have been the semi-finals.
Yeah.
And the level of table tennis, absolutely incredible. And I think there's a lot more players this year than there was last year. So if you're about, like, even if your kids aren't playing or whatever, come watch. Like, it's really, really good quality table tennis.
Yeah.
And most of them are tiptoeing over to Ali Mehdi. But
I agree. I just want to echo what Saif said. We'll have more tables this year. We'll be playing in the main hall as well, so we'll have more of an atmosphere. If you can come down, please do. Parents, friends, brothers, whoever it is, come down, support the youth, and let's see if the leaderboard changes with regards to the youth, just as the way the adults one has been every week almost. So, guys, thank you for joining us.
One more thing.
Go for it. No, please do.
So, guys, a lot of you have been telling me that indoor football was great and you enjoyed it. So, you guys need to put pressure on Hader AB, and Akil to get indoor football as a constant sport.
He looks so unimpressed right now.
I'm not sure he would have. I'm not sure he would have said that had he not finished the tournament with 5 goals. No, I'm only kidding. We'll look into it definitely. I think the feedback that we've got was largely positive, so we'll look into implementing that on the weekly schedule. But guys, thanks for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and myself and Saif will see you again next week, inshallah. Thank you and take care.